go. WrestleMania is now in the books. We are into the post-WrestleMania era, or what I would like to call the hangover of WWE as we get out of WrestleMania. A bit of a quiet week on SmackDown all round. Not too much going on. Not a big eventful time. Not great returns. No crowds. Why bother? But we'll get into that and more as we get into this week's edition of the Smack Attack. Money James McIver alongside my partner in crime, as always. Some undisclosed location, John Enright, hidden in a cupboard. That's cool. I like that.
That's right.
I'm
in the
bunker.
I'm in the bunker.
You're hiding. You're bumping Hameen on us.
Yeah, exactly. No, my computer at work crashed Friday, so that was awesome.
That's always good.
Yeah, so I've got to figure out how I'm going to record tomorrow with Triple D, considering he uses StreamYard. So
yes.
I'll be interested to see how that works tomorrow. So
will it work? Who knows? That's the fun.
I haven't even told him yet because I'm like, oh shit, because I got other more important things to do today. So I need to message him after this. So unless he listens to it right now, and because we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not, I don't fucking know because I'm still learning this. Like I'm new to the YouTube thing, right? Usually when we do these, it's like record on Reaper, edit, post. There it is on Podbean. But fucking bastards have decided we can't do it on Podbean anymore. Thanks, Podbean, sound buggers. So now I've got to try and learn a brand new medium. I've got to work out like OBS Studio. People say use Streamlabs, but I've got too much pride, right? I've got too much pride in myself. I like to learn things as I go and just be good at it, right? So I decided to go and work out OBS. So we had the makeshift recording that we did a couple of weeks ago, and then now we've got this fancy little thing that you're looking at now. And then now I've hopefully worked out streaming. Apparently it's not working all that great. If anyone is watching, can you let me know? That would be grand. Because if it's not working, then, oh, Jesus, this is going to be a pain. I'm recording as a backup just in case. So if it does go Pete Tong, then hey-ho. But yeah, so WrestleMania week's out the way. How have we been? What was your overall thoughts of WrestleMania as we come into the sort of the cool down period of WrestleMania? You stuck to your guns, I believe, and you didn't watch it. Which is fair fucks to you, to be honest with you. Like I'd be surprised if you went against that. But
I'm usually a person of my word. It was, I guess, to me, it was exhausting. WrestleMania week because there's so much going on between Impact, Raw, Takeover, all this kind of stuff. And so that was part of it. Man, I got other things I got to deal with. And then, you had the Friday WrestleMania Smackdown, which was garbage, which we talked about last week. And so I just, I was glad to just take in the highlights and go from there and see, and if there's something I really want to see, I can go to WWE.com and see the longer matches or whatever they had for those things, the highlights of those matches. I just, it felt overwhelming and so much that I'm kind of glad it's over because I feel like, okay, now there's a new start. Like WrestleMania is always the end and there's a fresh start for something new. And there was hope for that. But
it was,
there was hope, but
there was hope, but there seems to be a sort of same old to this. There's not really much unique going
and here's
on.
my problem. They're calling now. They're not calling it WrestleMania Backlash. They're not just calling it Backlash anymore. So, is the implication that they're going to redo stuff from WrestleMania at Backlash?
Yeah.
Is that the implication?
Well, usually they would do that, wouldn't they? They would do it with what do you call it? Backlash. They would just be rematching a lot of matches and just go back to how it was. But
they were specifically calling it WrestleMania. But I don't remember them ever calling it WrestleMania Backlash. That's new to me as far as I mean, granted, I'm self-admitted I haven't been a huge WrestleMania or WWE fan or following a lot of their content strictly. So, but I just don't ever remember them calling it WrestleMania Backlash. Like last night, I was watching it and watching the graphic, and it specifically said WrestleMania Backlash. So is it like, are they trying to cash in on WrestleMania and get that feel like, hey, look, we're still doing WrestleMania a month later and the backlash from WrestleMania? And so, because I've never remembered that before, it's always just remembered it being Backlash, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it makes me feel that this pay-per-view is kind of cheap in a sense, because that they're coming up with next, because it's like, to me, it sounds like they're redoing everything from WrestleMania just to give them another shot at it. You know,
yeah,
which
it's not great. It's a bit poor that they're. But then again, it's like they're trying to use it as like a buffer period to kind of get themselves over the wall of what they've got. Great way it got put. It was like they are creatively bankrupt. I think it was Sean Ross that was saying that. I was listening to reviews over it, and he said they were creatively bankrupt because there's nothing going on. They're not really doing anything unique. They're not trying any unique storytelling or anything like that. They're just using the same old tropes with the same characters, doing the same things over and over again. Like you'll see it in some of the SmackDown again. There's things that happen. You're like, well, this happened like a few weeks ago, or it happened a couple of months ago, and it's a bit disappointing when you think about it. Where you've got all this talent, you've got tons of writers in there as well, and bookers and everything like that, but they're willing to just stick with the same thing. What's the point? What's the point of doing all this? You know, and these sort of creative issues that they've had have led to people getting released. They're not part of the company anymore. This week, a lot of the issues that we have with the likes of the Iconics going, they were a tag team, they got split up, and they're like, oh, we can't do anything for you. Whereas you look at the SmackDown tag division right now, they would desperately need a tag team right now. They need someone like the Iconics to fill the gap.
Women's in general. And here's the problem. They did kind of they were doing something with Billie Kay, pairing her with Carmella. You know, so it's like, okay, all right, we see it, we work it, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're gonna cut your legs out from under you. You know, and it's like, where did that come from? Because I was kind of interested in the Carmella Billie Kay thing, you know, and because we saw that last week. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. Let's check that out. And then they just cut the legs out from under her. And her and Peyton Royce, gone. You know? I mean, let's be honest, though. They hadn't done anything with Peyton Royce. And, you know, and do you think some of that was AEW related with her husband being Shawn Spears?
Maybe. I mean, like, she's been quite vocal in like promos and things like that. She wanted to do more, and you know, having that split between the two, it can be quite taxing. You know, it makes you want to go elsewhere and be with your family. It's a tough thing. You're literally splitting up families when you're doing it. Like one's in WWE and the other one's in AEW. It's not the easiest, especially when things are opening up again and touring schedules are going to become a thing where it's going to be harder and harder to meet in the middle, which is it can be a rough go. It can be a really rough go of things. So I can understand that from my point of view. I kind of much see the Iconics going to somewhere like an Impact. Impact seems like a more sensible move for them rather than AEW at the moment. Just because I think Impact's a place, they've got a women's tag division already. They've got people in there that can do stuff for them, and they would fit in quite nicely. Plus they're comedic. Impact seem to do quite well with a comedic style. Like they've got a lot of entertaining wrestlers as well. So it's not so much... You do get the great wrestling, you get good performances, but when they want to go out the boat and try something a bit different and a bit unique, they tend to lean into that. You know, Strangler Steve's got this stuff going on with a casino. There was the murder mystery thing. It's a bit of a wild time, but you've got someone like the Iconics that can come in. It can be really engaging. It can be entertaining. They can flourish again. I think they need something like this to revive them and get them back going, because a pair like that are money in the indies. They will make money wherever they go. That's not a problem. They are a great pair and they worked well together. They shouldn't have got broken up in the first place, which is just nonsense. And so to see that would be good. But then again, it makes sense as well because of Impact's pairing with AEW as well. They're working together. So you're not exactly missing out too much with, you know, how should I put this? With them working separate companies, because they are going to come together now and again. And who's to stop Shawn Spears appearing on Impact or the Iconics appearing on AEW? AEW's got quite a big women's roster as well. So do we want to add more names into that? Mickie James would be a good shout for them because it's a iconic name, a big name. someone who's been there for years, a veteran. Everyone will recognize her. Whereas with an Iconics, you're filling the roster a bit. Do they fit in with what's going on in AEW? Maybe not necessarily now. Down the line, possibly, but at the moment, Impact would be the best place for me. But yeah, that's the one I'm more positive about in terms of the releases because they've got something to lean on. Some of them are head scratchers, like Samoa Joe. Like, he called WrestleMania. He was on the desk for WrestleMania just a few days ago, and the chat was he was coming off the Raw desk, and everyone was expecting him to go back into the ring. I kind of thought he was going to go to SmackDown at the time. And 2 days after Raw, or 3 days, Thursday wasn't it? He's released.
Yeah.
That
was the biggest head scratcher to me.
Yeah, unless that's his decision, and he's went, look, I want to wrestle. You're not going to clear me. These guys will. I'm out. And they've just given him his, let him go. I would be a bit more. I'd sleep a bit better at night knowing if Samoa Joe's called it and just decided I'm leaving. I just want to kind of rest and go somewhere, then recover. Go. I'm really wording this bad. Saturday hangover. It's WrestleMania hangover's got me as well. But he'd be much happier going somewhere where he can flourish and just work again. It is a risk if he is injured for that. There, generally, when WWE doctors, they don't take any chances. So if he's got that chance, he'll do it. And if they're not going to do anything with him, it would have been great at commentary. It would have been great for commentary. Oh, we got SmackDown's not too bad for commentary now. But.
Well, and I guess the thing was, like, right before WrestleMania, they talked about how he was doing this Ford Tough Enough series where he's interviewing all these people. So even then, even without the commentary, they were using him for all this other kind of stuff too. And so that's where I found it very interesting in that sense of, hey, look, we've got all this stuff. We set up for you. So it just seemed out of the blue. Like you said, unless the biggest thing I could think of is he wants to wrestle again.
Yeah.
And so that's the only kind of issue that you have there, is, okay, well, you're not ready to wrestle yet, and that's the hard part, because you're WWE, you have a history of people dying on your watch, for whatever reason. So you got to be overly protective, so I can understand it from that standpoint of, hey, we've got to be careful. We're going to be extra cautious. So I don't know. I wonder if it's more of they're being overly cautious, and he's like, no, I'm ready to go. Let me go. And, but who knows? They made some of these decisions they made. I think the biggest ones to me that stood out were the Iconics and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was just a shocker, I think.
Yeah. That was, I feel like that was one that he made himself. That was his own decision that he decided to walk away and go for his own thing, which is fair enough. Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever they're called? They decided, we've signed Samoa Joe.
They say they wanted a woman. I forget which one they said.
Chelsea Green. They got That's Chelsea a heartbreaker Green as well. Chelsea Green. She got up. She got put with Robert Stone right out of the gate. Nothing much was happening. She gets put up to the main roster, injured right away. And that's her. She's not had much of a career in WWE, and it's a shame because she's one of the better performers in the women's roster that they had. And I think she's going to go flourish again as Laurel Van Ness somewhere else.
Right. Laurel Van Ness. Because that was it. Yeah, she did put a picture on Instagram. It's like, hey, welcome back. And, hope, did you miss me? Like, as the Laurel Van Ness character. So, and as Ben said, she was one who really just kind of got it. She got the whole character aspect of it, and they just didn't know how to use her. When she was with Robert Stone brand, it actually was pretty good. And then they just kind of dropped it. They just dropped the ball with a lot of these characters that, which is the frustrating part is, like, why would you get rid of the talent if the writers have nothing for them?
Yeah.
Because that some of these talents are like, hey, let's do this. Like, we know Mickie James was like, that was another one that, not surprised in the sense because they weren't using her. And she was like, hey, what about I'm Monday Night MILF, like stuff like that. Coming up with some good stuff, and people are like, I don't want to use it, kind of thing. To me, I'm looking at, the the people who are writers going, hey, she just gave you something really good right now. What's your problem?
Yeah.
Why can't you use this? Like, what the hell? She's a crossover star. She sings country music. So, I mean, you can use that whole aspect of it. So I don't understand why they're not using some of these people and the talents they have. It seems like there's some things that could be really easy and write themselves. And why they're not being used, I don't know. And to me, I would go after the writers more so than I would the talent. But, then at the same time, too, you look at your budget and go, all right, can I justify this for this person and this person and this person? So I don't know. We always know this is coming after WrestleMania, that people are getting cut. And, I was surprised about Chelsea Green. Because I felt like once she got better, that they could really utilize her. Young talent. I mean, she's what, early 20s, mid 20s?
Yeah, mid 20s. I think she is mid 20s. She's at the moment.
Yeah, but the character work that she does, I think she's a talent there in herself. So I don't know. I think it's I really wonder like what they're thinking at times. Like, what's the deal? I don't know. It's just, it's interesting to say the least. It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go and where they recover. If you're watching live just now, apologies, we have had some technical difficulties. I've been trying to fix it as we go. I think that's up and running now. So apologies if you jumped in early and it's been a bit of a starting mess, but we hopefully are alive and well. If you are watching, let me know. Let me know what you think, how it's looking in the chat. Are you watching? Is it an absolute shit show?
Well, I mean, I've got the iPad up. It says it's live and we're live.
It's an education. I'm gonna learn the hard way. Fuck it. We're all winning this together, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You're learning how to do this live. I'm having to do this on my phone because my computer had to shit the bed yesterday. Yeah. So just enjoying a cold beverage and talking Smackdown with my mate.
Quite right. Your image will probably be a bit slower. That's probably the best. I had to sacrifice your Skype feed I got the audio okay, but the Skype feed is a bit slower now. So if you just listen, all right? Put the phone, if you're listening on your phone, turn it up the fuck down and just listen, right? Don't watch it. It'll give you a bastard headache. But but it's one of those weird weeks where things have happened. It's a bit ironic that they decided to do this on WrestleMania week as well, because this is supposed to be like a high energy, fun-filled week, and it's just been a disaster of a recovery. Raw was terrible, so you've got that. It was just an awful show.
Well, and I think the problem was with Raw is you had WrestleMania with fans, so you're thinking the next day, the Raw after WrestleMania is always raucous, and it went back to the Thunderdome.
Well, that was it. Was that not supposed to be the chat initially, that they were going to do the 4 nights at Raymond James? So they were going to have the SmackDown first, and then the 2 WrestleManias in Raw.
Yeah, but you thought and you get there, and then the Monday night it's the Thunderdome again, and you're just like, ugh,
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, it was just one of those.
Okay, you to me, the way they set it up, the way it sounded, that hey, we've got fans now, and this is how it's going to be from this point forward, is kind of the way I felt it was being presented, and then it turns around that it's not at all. That we're back to the Thunderdome after WrestleMania, and of course WrestleMania had its issues. They got literally rained on, for 2 days, and shout out to Strangler Steve for being there through that and sitting through the rain.
And JB as well. JB, who's on they survived the weather.
Yeah,
fucking shambles of the weather that was.
Yeah, so there's that as well. So I mean, being we had how many media people in the weather dealing with that. Which always is a risk when you run Florida and you run an outdoor stadium, because Florida is like Texas. You don't like the weather, 5 minutes later it's going to change. It's like it was 46 degrees this morning when I was out doing volunteer work this morning.
For real?
Yeah. So nice, very cool morning to hand out food to people. And so, where, you're like, okay, yesterday though, got into the upper 70s to low 80s, even though there was a touch of rain. And then this morning, 46. So, and it's not going to get above 52, I think, or 55 today. So, and what am I doing after this? Going to a water park.
Yay! You're gonna be frozen. Is that cold? Is that my knowledge of Fahrenheit's not great? Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah,
it'll be okay. Warm, heated water. It'll keep you going. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Nothing wrong with that. On that part. It'll be fun. Yeah, no, I like making that joke. They're kind of like, so my girlfriend's a teacher. So when I told somebody one day, I'm going to prom this year with my girlfriend. They're like, wait, what? Like, 42-year-old man, if you're going to prom, that means your girlfriend's like 18, right? So it's that, no, my girlfriend's a teacher. She's 41 and I'm going as a chaperone, kind of thing. So, it's always fun to, as they say in Empire Records, it's always fun to play with their minds. Always to play with their minds. Yeah. So, but yeah, like this week, I think that was the biggest letdown was you're thinking that we're going to have fans in the stands from this point forward, and it goes back to the Thunderdome. And I think that was the biggest disappointment from Raw and SmackDown this week, more than anything else, for me personally, because you go back to the fake noise and not potted sound, the potted sound that they don't know how to do right and everything along those lines. It just, it was like we're back to the way it was when. Yeah. From what I saw at WrestleMania, from everything that I saw, everything that I could see from the highlights and everything, it felt real because there were people there. It felt like a WrestleMania. It felt like just a charged environment, super excited. And you're coming off of that, and you're expecting that momentum to go. And it was like it just completely lost all momentum after Monday night.
Yeah, the Monday night tanked completely, like off like on an unprecedented scale. Like, in terms of expectations, in terms of production and performance and just everything, it was bad. It was a bad show. They've misthought it completely, and they've not really. I get that the spectacle of it is not the same this year because there's no fans, but at the same time, reward us for fuck's sake. We worked for we went through this together. This has been a team effort, and now it's the suggestion that here you go. It's just another show. That's pretty much what this week has felt. It's just another show. WrestleMania could never have happened. It would not have happened last week, and you would never have known. You would have been none the wiser. In fact, if you yourself, you didn't watch WrestleMania, right? If you didn't know that you watched all of the wrestling up until WrestleMania, and you didn't know WrestleMania happened, you wouldn't be none the wiser. Apart from maybe a couple of different champions here and there. Yeah. The rest was just. I don't know. I just wasn't happy with it whatsoever. And then you went back to things like Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. And I was like, well, you could have done something a bit more fun. Brock Lesnar would have been. Everyone's wanting Brock Lesnar to be involved in the next, but we're not seeing anything with that, unfortunately. Might happen down the line. It might be something down the future, but you could have done some more interesting stories. Riddle got buried completely in that thing. Sheamus wasn't on the show. AJ Styles and Omos weren't on the show. People miss. There's people who miss SmackDown as well, and we'll talk about it in a second. Yeah. Where they've just totally missed the notes completely. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they're booking this Raw with the releases in mind, where they were like, right, we need to figure out who we're getting rid of. So let's just coast through this Raw. And it was a terrible Raw. Like, don't watch it. Please do not watch it. Don't waste your time. 3 hours of your time is just, 10 minutes of clips of your time isn't even worth it. Especially like things, the Bray Wyatt stuff as well. That was like the worst, and we kind of teased. We're talking about it last week, and we skipped it, which I'm glad because it was god awful storyline. It was a god awful build. The match was even worse somehow. I could not believe how bad that match was because nothing happened, and then the coolest part of the match was the finish, and nothing came about of it. I really was like, Alexa Bliss comes out in the box like, oh fucking hell, that's spooky as fuck, and then Bray Wyatt loses clean. Morning signs there, alarm bells ringing, and then silence, and then they disappear, and there's nothing. And you're like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, like,
loses clean because Alexa Bliss essentially turns on him per se, from what we could tell, which it wasn't very clear, but it kind of, it was just kind of like, what? Okay, and then Bray Wyatt keeps his over streak. He keeps his defeated streak alive at WrestleMania. I think he's now like 0 for 6 or 0 for 7.
He's not won at WrestleMania, has he?
He's not won at WrestleMania.
even as
he's
the
like 0
Fiend.
for 6 or 7, something like that.
Fucking hell. That's what are they going to do to save him? They've ruined him. They've ruined him at his worst. He's ruined him at his best. He will try. He could have like $1 million a week gimmick and they'll fuck it. In fact, they probably did have a money-making gimmick with the Fiend and they fucked it very quick. So I've got no trust in them. And what do we do now? Like, he's doing this, he's going back to the Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt and doing all the Firefly Funhouse again, and then you've got Alexa Bliss doing this sort of yin to the yang thing, and it's like, I don't want a feud between them. I want Bray Wyatt to move on and, you know, build a bit. There's other things he could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a bit low in general. People will be just kind of seeing us go around in circles, but I want more. I want better out of my WWE programming, especially when you're supposed to be spending so
Which
much
is
money.
what I said last week.
Yeah. Everything. You pretty much called the whole thing down the line. But right, you know what? We've danced around it enough. Let's just jump into it. Let's just get into SmackDown. Because this was the SmackDown after WrestleMania, post WrestleMania edition of SmackDown. And we started this edition of SmackDown the same as we started every other edition of SmackDown for the past 5 months. Roman Reigns comes out and addresses the main event match. Took a while to get there, mind you. He got to the ring, and then can someone please tell me if you can hear the Thunderdome crowd or not? Because he sat there like circa his WrestleMania win against The Undertaker and just soaked it in. It was like, yeah.
But there was nobody there.
But there was nobody there. It was just pictures of people at their desks. So unless you can hear them, which I highly doubt, or they're pumping in fake crowd noises.
It's fake crowd noise. That's the whole.
Yeah.
So like everything I've read is that the people are told when to like boo and when to like cheer, but you're not hearing them do that. You're just seeing them do that. Yeah. Everything else is piped in. The audio noise, everything that the performers hear is the piped in audio noise that they have. And so it's like, why are you even doing that? We know that there's nobody there. You're not even like having people there. So why are you giving us this fake noise bull crap, you know, with this whole woo boo and letting a guy sit there for 3 minutes, you know, when there's nobody there? It made sense if you would have done it at WrestleMania where there were people there or people in the crowd. This makes absolutely no. This is what I've said from the beginning. This is so stupid. You know, why are they doing this and letting him sit here and be like, oh, look, I'm going to soak all the booze in because you acknowledge me because I suck now.
Yeah, I mean, it would work better if there was a crowd easily. Like, this is now needing a crowd to get the juices going again. Because I do buy into the whole Roman Reigns thing as a heel, being the top guy, and the character he's putting out and the work they've done has been fantastic. But we're looking at a point now where it's like, okay, we can only do so much now. We've got there's the organic side of it is starting to fade. We're now having to try and manufacture this reaction and how things feel with Roman Reigns around about there. So we need a crowd to kind of get things going. We need someone to get behind the other guy. And so that's maybe partly why they went with Cesaro, but then we'll explain later on the show it's not going too well. Oh man, we've got some words about Cesaro today. But like this whole thing needs a bit of life to it again, you know, and it worked great because you had Daniel Bryan and Edge in it, but now they're out the way. They are out the way because there's no hints to them, no signs of them. All you'll hear about them is Paul Heyman putting them over as Hall of Famers who have wives who are Hall of Famers, and Daniel Bryan will be a Hall of Famer. And Roman Reigns predicted it. He was going to rack him, pack him, and stack him and pin them both together, which was a great visual, by the way. I loved the triple threat match. We've not really spoken about it, but I thought it was a fantastic match at WrestleMania. One of the better matches of the weekend.
It was. I was surprised at it, honestly. You know, I watched the highlights again on that, and I was surprised at how good it went.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I wasn't really looking forward to it at all. I had no interest in it. But, you know, the only thing I can say is I can admit all three guys are really good workers. So, you know, there is that aspect of it. And it went better than I anticipated. So I will give that credit its due. That was a match that was definitely better than I expected or anticipated.
Yeah. It was a fun one. It earned its main event status. It was always going to be main event, but it was a nice main event that lived up to being a main event, I thought. for the WrestleMania we've had with crowds and matches that have been on before. I felt it's been a wee while since we've had a main event that felt like the main event, that felt like the biggest match on the card, that had everyone excited, had the right ingredients to make it a special match. It wasn't the greatest match of all time, but for me it was just a fun ride, great match, great wrestling, some great spots in there, stuff with the concertos. We saw Roman Reigns with the steps at one point. Jey Uso got it. He got involved, but then he got dealt with. But it was just it was just great. Everything that was great about all three of these guys got shown off in that match.
Right.
So I was quite happy to see that. But fast forward to SmackDown. There's no one there. Roman Reigns is like, there's no one left. Who's going to challenge me now? Who even wants to do this? This is embarrassing. No one wants to have a go. You try and put me in a triple threat, I'd deal with that. Who's even going to want this? And it's like, that's it. Paul Heyman, get them to cut the check. Get the plane started. Yeah. We're off. I was like, what? You cannot. I genuinely thought at the time, they're gone. They're actually leaving. I can't believe. I was half hoping that what happened next happened, but that's it. There was no one. When you think about it, there's who is there really? And then Cesaro comes out, and you're like, yes, Cesaro, the man, comes out, stares down Roman Reigns. He goes to pick up the microphone and gets bantered right off. He goes to pick up the mic, and then Roman Reigns leaves. And that's it. Out. That's your segment to open the show. And we'll just fast forward a little bit more. You get to the ad break. Cesaro goes backstage to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. And he's like, look, I want a match. He says no one wants to go. I want to have a go. It doesn't even have to be for the title. I want a match with Roman Reigns tonight. Adam Pearce is about to go. That's a great idea. Let's do it. And Sonya Deville just goes, I'll go talk to him. I'll see if he's up for that. I'll see if he wants. Of course he's going to say no. You crazy bitch. You just thinking he's just going to go, no worries. Hooray. Cesaro.
He did skip a very important part, though. Michael Cole kept saying throughout the night his new broadcast partner, Pat McAfee.
Oh, yes. Oh, can we talk about
Pat didn't say guest announcer. He said his new broadcast partner.
He is officially the new analyst of SmackDown.
Well, I don't know if he is or not, but he kept saying throughout the night, my new broadcast partner, Pat McAfee. That was the title that he was giving him every time he introduced him when they came back from break or when it was his turn to introduce him to talk about something. It was always my new broadcast partner.
Oh, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's the paperwork's been done, signed. He's there permanently. He's going to be the color guy for SmackDown.
Because I'd heard he was going to be there as a guest, but I hadn't heard that it's official done deal that he is the SmackDown co-host now.
Yeah, so it's official. He confirmed it on his podcast as well. He was talking about the opportunity and how he was looking forward to working with someone like Michael Cole, who he called at the time the greatest announcement of all time. And he made his case. I was like, fair enough to you, that he's had to work 20 odd years and just have Vince in his ear and everything's changing constantly and things like that. And he's not skipped a beat. There has been mistakes Michael Cole's made, but he made a fair case for him anyway.
With Pat McAfee calling him out for his shorts at WrestleMania, 2 or 3 years ago?
I was like, yes. I'm looking forward to just him bantering Michael Cole all the time. He's got that in him. And I like this pairing because WWE needed an injection of realistic people, real people. And it seems like he's going to get to say what he wants to a degree. Yeah. Obviously not being over the top with it, but he's going to be able to just speak from the head and the heart and just go for it, which is great because you need someone like Pat McAfee because it gives a bit of color to it. It brings life into the show. You're not watching the same monotonous robotic stuff going on. And part of me theorized that this was a SmackDown that was made for Pat McAfee. This was the induction ceremony. Good luck with this one, pal. You explain what's happening on this one because we don't fucking know ourselves.
And I gotta admit, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having him there as the voice of Michael Cole. I don't mind Corey Graves, but to me, Corey Graves is a little too insider in wrestling, a little bit. And
I just think he's just he's a bit more sort of controlled as well. He's just stay on the line. You just say these things. You just stick with the buzzwords, and you'll be fine.
So what's happening with Corey Graves?
He's on Raw.
He's on Raw.
So it's Corey Graves, Brian Saxton, and then that new guy. I don't know his name. That's taken over for Tom Phillips, who's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Don't know where he is. Don't know where he's going to pop up next. It could be anywhere. So Corey Graves is part of the Raw team with Byron Saxton. That team is not a good not a good team at all. It's not. We've we've won the lottery with our announced teams when it comes to
Yeah.
SmackDown. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. Well done, guys. It's a top
it's a
effort.
good one.
I thought he was great. I thought he did a great job. That he spoke about everything. He did get away with some sort of like, I'm sure he swore a couple of times and got away with it, or he almost got away with it. And then he actually talked about wrestling. He actually mentioned the word wrestling. You know, that banned word we talked about a couple of weeks ago. He got to say things like that. But I think things like when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had their match, I thought he did a great job just kind of breaking down the worlds and things like that. Bobo, how you doing, my man? Thanks for watching the show. There were moments where you saw Pat getting yelled at in his ear, especially when he said the term tag team wrestling. He did. Yeah. I did see a point where like you cut to the camera and they weren't saying much, and you can just sort of see them like Pat looking down, like almost like he's listening and taking notes. And I think it's like Michael Cole telling him, like, you got to see, you can't exactly say these things, and these things will come. These things will come in time, you know. Like Pat McAfee's only done commentary once for WWE. That was on that emergency. I think that was on that emergency NXT one where everyone was stuck in Saudi or something like. Yeah, I think it was the Saudi show. I think it was the one where everyone was like abandoned in Saudi Arabia because Vince wanted his money. So Pat, go down. NXT's going, and he did a good job then.
Yeah.
So, but this is now he's got to learn the trade a bit, figure out what's working, what doesn't. He will get more freedom to say what he wants, but he wouldn't, as such, get to say everything. He's quite He said himself, he's got no filter, so whatever's in his head comes out, and it can be dangerous because if he says the wrong thing at the wrong time about the wrong person, it blows the whole gig. So, but it's good. That's a good thing, though. You need that. You need that element. And
I like that. I like that he's going to push the envelope, and who cares that I say wrestling and the title belt or whatever. You know, I think, you know, most of us don't care. We want to hear that kind of stuff. I don't think it's, you know, we know that's more of a Vince thing than anything else. But I like Pat McAfee. You know, I felt he did a really good job with Cole. I think I said before this one, I said I hope McAfee kind of slaps Cole in the mouth as payback for the WrestleMania bit that happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was waiting for an Adam Cole joke because, like, I don't like that. I don't like the other Cole either. It's like, you know, that's not my son, but I would love to do something like that. I thought that'd be pretty funny, but alas, we didn't get it.
Great.
I will ask you this question.
Okay.
How long till McAfee has a match? It's got to come in it. It's gonna come. You can't have him do what he did in NXT and then not have him do like a showcase match somewhere, like a SummerSlam maybe.
See, that's where I think that's where it's not gonna happen. I think because here's the thing, because he showed up a lot of those guys at NXT. All right, let's say he has a match on SmackDown and he shows up some of the guys on SmackDown who are supposed to be main roster. How does that look when one of your announcers can have better matches than some of the guys on your roster? You know, I just don't see that happening. And this Vince, that was NXT. You know, Hunter is in control there. You know, Vince is not going to let that happen.
Nah, unless he sees money in it. That's the only thing. Like, because let's be fair,
where's the money?
Well, Pat McAfee is a big name as far as I'm aware in terms of
but like
sports broadcasting.
Who's that person right now on the SmackDown roster? You know, other than Roman Reigns, that you put and it's a money match.
Well, I don't think that's totally fair because these are just sort of like spectacle things. They just drum up like the general public's attention rather than the big main event type of matches. I was thinking of someone like a Sami Zayn because he's had interactions with the likes of Logan Paul. He's in that sort of realm, the zeitgeist of people knowing who he is and what they're about. He's an easy name where you can just go, Sami, you can work. You, Pat McAfee, 10 minutes, on you go. And I think you can make it. I mean, that's what made the NXT
that's not
thing
money
work.
to me. Like, it's not money. Like, you know, again, like I know that they just did the whole Logan Paul thing, but like, I don't care if Pat McAfee beats the shit out of Sami Zayn because that's what most people do, you know? So it's kind of like, that's where it has to be a match that, one, makes sense and two, is intriguing. And I think that's where it falls, especially when you say the SmackDown roster. Now, let's say, we get to Survivor Series and we have SmackDown versus Raw. and you throw him in there with the SmackDown guys, that he's talking trash to Raw, and they're
could you
like,
be
well,
like the sort of like Paul Heyman, in 2001 when they did the Invasion?
Yeah.
Could you
Well,
imagine like Pat be the spokesperson of
I'm thinking
SmackDown
like
invading
that.
Raw?
He's the mouthpiece, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you put your money where your mouth is?" And he's like, "Damn right, I will." And he gets in the ring with the SmackDown guys as one of the 5, and they go about that way. Then he's able to do the stuff like he did at NXT and has a really good showcase match. But he has other wrestlers there with him from Raw and SmackDown. I think that works. I think that's where you throw him in, and that's a money match. Him with 5 other guys or 4 other guys from SmackDown taking on Raw, and he's the announcer. He's able to talk shit, but he's also able to back it up in the ring. And he puts on a showcase like he did in NXT, and then everybody's like, "Well, hot damn!" And now you've got a marquee of Pat McAfee and these other guys from SmackDown versus Raw. To me, that's where I think the money is, and that's where you put a match in.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do one with him, I don't think you can do a 1-on-1. I don't think, there's somebody just singularly that has the money. I think it's something like that where he talks shit to Raw when it comes to Survivor Series time, and they throw him in a marquee match with those other guys, and he's able to do the flips off the top rope and all that kind of stuff that he did at NXT, and put on a pretty damn good match with 4 or 5 other guys in the ring, and it's good to go. I think that's where you go with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I quite like the idea of that as well. Like, he's got a lot more to him than just being a random person you throw in the match. A bit more to him than a Shane McMahon, say. I think he brings a lot of attention to the product. His characteristics are great. He's a big character anyway, and just in general. So it would fit naturally in this world of WWE. It fits well with him. So I mean, I'd be keen to see if anything like that happens. I just feel like they'd be thinking to themselves like, we're wasting him, just not using him now and again. Like a Shane McMahon, he doesn't have to necessarily have good matches. He could just run his mouth and then just get battered after 5 minutes or something like that by a Braun Strowman or what have you, or whatever Apollo Cruz's guy is now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
who used to be called Dabo Kaba, but now is like Commander Akeem or whatever.
Aziz or something. Commander Aziz or something like that his name is.
Yeah.
Jesus. Man, we've got to talk about that in a bit. We'll plod on though, but note that if you are watching SmackDown, Pat McAfee is the highlight of SmackDown for me. I don't think there was anyone who did a better job than he did. Not that it was hard, to be fair. It wasn't actually absolutely hard to make that happen, but at the same time, he did quite well what he got given to him as well. But we'll move on. We get to talk about... Now, I can't remember if this... Should I address it now or should I address it after the first match? I think it's after the first match to talk about it, but yeah, we'll talk about it after the first match. Otis, Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio. Now, if you're watching SmackDown, this SmackDown is brought to you by the tag division, because that was all. Most of the people had a match to do this week.
Yeah,
it was all tag division stuff. This was a quick match, good match as well. I quite enjoyed it for the couple minutes that it was. Otis got a good promo package before he came out. All about Chad Gable, turning him into a machine, turning him into a better performer, better in the ring. He's here to do damage, showed the big moves that he was doing, the splash he done in Mysterio. They sold him quite well in this. I really liked what they were doing with Otis. They need to change his entrance stuff, though. The Titantron. It's still got a lot of his heavy machinery references. We need to get rid of that. We need to change that.
Which Tucker is gone, so, that's even more stuff.
You think that was maybe just a bit of a... Fuck you, Tucker. By the way, Tucker does not give a fuck, does he? He's looking forward to doing the shoot tour. I'm telling you now. He's like, can't wait to tell this story. How about this? There's a photo of him like smoking away on the golf course. He got released. He's happy. He's loving life. Like he's like, I cannot wait for this.
Yeah. No, this guy. For months. Hey, go for it, man. Hey, go for it. Make your money. Do your thing.
Be free. Do your own thing. But but Otis is still trapped in the system. But he had a good I think you need to change up that because you've changed up his look. You've changed up his character a little bit. Let's just get rid of anything that connects him with heavy machinery or this old blue collar character, and you'll be off to the races with him again. Even though you didn't really need to.
Because really, he's not blue collar anymore.
No,
he's not. He's part of the Alpha Academy. He's and to me,
he's an athlete.
It's kind of he's an athlete. An alphalete. Alpha Elite.
Alpha Elite, that's the one, yeah.
There you go. Hey, WWE,
Pay
Kyrie
us.
the Creator, I'm just saying. Hey, show me the money! So yeah.
Gable, that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but it was once again though. But this is once again the problem we have with SmackDown, because how many times have we seen this already? When Otis got reintroduced, it was Rey Mysterio versus Otis, and he crushed Rey Mysterio's ribs. And they've gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And I mean, SmackDown has 4 tag teams, and so we saw 2 of them right now, and then we saw 2 more later.
Yeah. I mean, it was an inoffensive match. It just wasn't anything particularly special. Yeah. I was maybe hoping for something to happen here. Like a lot of the card tonight, I was hoping for something to happen to get me going for post-WrestleMania season, but it wasn't really there. It was a good match. Rey Mysterio wins with the 619. Pat McAfee absolutely loved calling this. He was going banana for it.
Oh, yeah, because it was funny because they were like, oh, you're going to get to call it. Nope, we got out of it. Oh, no, you're going to get to call it now. It's like, yeah,
619,
I kind of
like
that, though. I kind of like that, though. Like, that was, to me, that was almost genuine, like, excitement to be able to say 619 and call a move like that, because let's be honest, Rey Mysterio is a legend. And to be able to say you called a 619, that's a pretty big deal. So I liked that. I liked that genuine. There was almost that genuine emotion of, holy shit, I get to do this. How cool is this kind of thing? And it made it that much more believable and fun when it came around. So I liked it. I loved Pat McAfee going, I love this setup. It's like he thought he was going to call the first one, and it didn't happen. But then he got to call the next one right back after. And he's like, oh, I'm going to get to call it, kind of thing. Yeah. That was a good bit of announcing to me. It was
great. Believe it or not, it wasn't the best call of the night for me. He had a better one later on. I can't wait to tell you about that one. But it was a good match all in all. We'll move on. This was, I think, the point where they started it. They were like, we're about to show you the most incredible thing you've seen at a WrestleMania ever. They made a proper segue, an ad break for this as well. They hyped this up. It's like, come back after the break to see the most incredible thing that happened at WrestleMania. And to be fair, Cesaro doing the UFO was incredible. Like, it's an incredible move to watch. It's a brilliant spectacle. It's fantastic. My problem, though, is we only need to see it once. We don't need to see it 5 times in a single night. Every chance they got, they showed this. And I suppose it pays off at the end, but not really. But I get it. It's a very special thing. But you know what's even more special? When you only see it once in a while. Like, show this bit off. Cool.
Right.
But then after that, don't
less
show it
more.
until a match. Yeah, less is more. We don't need to see this until another big match. Like, if we had this match with Roman Reigns, if it was like SummerSlam or even next WrestleMania, pull it out then. Only pull it out when it counts rather than just showing it all the time. Because you just normalize it after that. Even though you're saying it's the most incredible thing ever. I've seen it a bunch of times now. It's not as incredible as it once was. Like even in this, it's like I've watched it 4 times now, and it's not as exciting as it was the first time I watched it. So thank you very much.
Exactly. And I also I was upset that they said 23 was the record for spins at WrestleMania.
Disappointed it was only 23 as well.
Exactly. I was hoping they were going to go for 37. Because that's how Vince is. He's so yeah, we're going to do 37, pal, because it's WrestleMania 37. So,
well, you would have won the pick'em on that one, because I was like 100. I was determined we were getting 100, and it was like 22. It was like 20. He was slowing down. I was like, it's not happening. It's over. He's not even gonna hook it and lift him up more. It was just done. I was like, 23. Let me. Yeah. I didn't even think there was a number attached to 23, which is even more lame, But you'll see that a lot tonight on SmackDown. This was a padded SmackDown as well. Like, I don't know about how it was for you watching it, but I watched this live. The amount of ad breaks I had to sit through on this was atrocious.
Yeah. The amount of just sitting through interviews and highlight packages.
It was like, imagine like watching this, right? You watch a match, 2 minutes in, ad break. Come back, 2 minutes, ad break. 2 minutes, ad break. Come back. Cesaro's swinging someone on his neck, ad break. Then you get the promo spot. The promos last longer than anything in this show. They got more time out of anything. Well, I say more time, more consistent time than anything. Like, they didn't have an ad break through the middle of it, like every single match on here. It was like, not even 2 minutes into a match, you'd get an ad break, and then you come back to the last 2 or 3 minutes, which is a bit rubbish. Kind of spoil. I don't know how you guys do it in America. I don't know why. Don't. Please. Like, we don't do it for football. We wait for it. We do the 45 minutes and do ad breaks here. That's a different issue for another time. But it was kind of one of those things where we're going to get that fed to us across the night, because I'm guessing they're trying to put the rocket on Cesaro, build him up and turn him into this next big name.
Right.
Speaking of Cesaro, we get to the backstage segment where Caleb Braxton and Paul Heyman were talking in front of a guy fixing a light for some reason. Don't know what that was about. Did you not notice that? The guy on a ladder just like fixing a light fitting behind them. I was like, you couldn't pick anywhere else to do this fucking thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm Clarence and I'm the maintenance guy and I got to get this done. So
I got to fix this or there's no light for anyone. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna wait around for you guys. I got to get this done. Union rules say I got to be done in like 20 minutes. So
if you want me to work extra hours, you need to speak to my union guy.
Yeah.
That's what that felt like.
It felt like that. Like,
yeah. And then Paul Heyman came out with a great promo. It was like, Paul Heyman talked about how Seth Rollins had to lower himself to face someone like Cesaro, but you know what? You should be an idiot. Why does he want to do this? This is just a dumb thing. But you tell you what, he gets his chance. He's on the main event of SmackDown, gets the top guy, the main event, Jey Uso. Oh, it was how I can't give that justice because it's been several hours since I last watched it, but it's how he goes main event of SmackDown against a top man, a top player, the guy, the main event. Jey, and he has this big grin on his face as he goes, Jey Uso.
Jey Uso, yeah.
Up here. And it's just that evil grin he's got. That.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it any justice myself either. But it was like, he loved it. He reveled in it. And you're like, fair enough. Cesaro, Jey Uso, great match. Although my problem with that is, we're back to how we were 4 months ago. You want a match for the champ? Beat Jey Uso. That's how it's done. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's the gatekeeper. He's going to lose again
because he's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal champion, right?
Yep.
That that's why, because he won that.
That still boggles my mind.
Yeah,
I was like, why?
All to set up Roman Reigns on a promo before WrestleMania.
Yeah, but we'll get more of that later on in the show. We have Sami Zayn in the ring. He reflects on WrestleMania. Talks about how he got screwed. It was supposed to be his crowning achievement. His excuse for losing is Logan Paul, because Logan Paul was supposed to be his pal in the F-Rom, but Kevin Owens had poisoned him, made him like think a different way, didn't believe in the conspiracy. So this whole WrestleMania match that he had with Kevin Owens, he wasn't focused on the match. He was focused on what's Logan thinking, what's in his head. It's like, well, if that's your problem, why the fuck's he at the ringside? You invited him, you dickhead. So it's like, you couldn't have had him there. Problem solved. But anyway, Logan Paul was the reason he lost.
Here's my question. Do you think they're setting up a Sami Zayn versus Logan Paul like match later, like at Backlash, or a little bit later down the road or something like that?
Nah, I think it was just more just finally getting the last of the attention from it out the way. I just don't see, especially because Jake Paul's going to get tanned off of Ben Askren today, which would solve that problem greatly. Like, you're not
Jake or Logan?
Jake's fighting. Jake's fighting Ben Askren. I hope he gets beaten. I really hope Askren beats him. I really do. I don't expect a KO, but it'd be grand if Askren tans him. But anyway, so he talks about Logan Paul being the reason he lost. But I don't see it being a backlash thing. I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's more likely to be another backlash match because of the match that comes up next. Because he calls out Kevin Owens, he demands Owens comes to the ring. Owens comes out. They just scrap. They just beat the crap out of each other, and a lovely match. It was a really good 5-10 minutes of wrestling. This they can have a good match no matter how hard they try. And thus came my favorite spot of the night. Thank you, Pat McAfee, you fucking legend. Sami. On the top rope, Kevin Owens about to go for a superplex as you do. Zayn counters it into a sunset flip powerbomb. McAfee turns and goes, "What was that?" "That was a sunset flip powerbomb, Pat. That was the greatest thing I have ever seen." I was like, that is brilliant. I love how he just came out with that. That is the greatest thing I've ever seen. But it was a good match. It was just you'll never get a bad match from him. I think this is just a setup for Backlash, because it wasn't really a definitive finish. Sami Zayn bailed out the ring and got counted out.
Right.
And you thought, well, again, so yeah, right, that's it.
Which happened at WrestleMania. I mean, how do you have a WrestleMania match and you do that? Let's be honest. And then I get it. It's Sami Zayn. You do it again. So obviously, at some point, they're going to set up a cage or something, but where he can't do that anymore. But seriously, you go to WrestleMania, you have this match, you have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, and it's a count out. Yeah. As that was a little disappointing. Let's be honest.
Squib.
You go to WrestleMania to have definitive ends to matches, not to have count outs and other bullshit like that.
Yeah, but I suppose like that whole night 2 of WrestleMania you could describe as that as well, because it was just like weird finishes, not great storylines, stuff going on. This felt like they were trying to leave a little bit of breadcrumbs towards Backlash or WrestleMania Backlash, and this was one of them. This is one of the trails we're going to go down, because obviously we had this match, another count out. I feel like there's going to be like a no DQ match or something like that for that year, and it was weird because like Zayn leaves. But then Kevin Owens grabs him, throws him back in the ring, and stuns him, and he leaves anyway. So if you're going to have Zayn lose by count out and then just have Kevin Owens stun him, then why not just have, Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn? Just beat him. You've done everything bar pin him at this point. All the conclusions that have come from pinning him are there, apart from you actually doing it. You just haven't counted out. So it was weird, but that's going to drag on to Backlash. I think it's fine. I'm okay with them doing this. It needs a bit more layers now, because we can't do the conspiracy stuff, because we paid that off a little bit at WrestleMania. And we've not even seen the actual finished product of the bloody, what do you call it? The documentary. We've not seen the documentary thing either. So.
Yeah.
So that must be dead and buried now, because there was no reference of it whatsoever. But we'll move.
I think he did. He did mention it in his complaining beforehand.
Yeah,
I remember he did mention that about his movie and everything along those lines. So it was mentioned at least.
Yeah. Your camera disappeared for a second, but you're back now. Technical difficulties. La 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 la. But yeah, so it was fine. We'll see how this pans out. We'll crack on though, because we've got other stuff. Right, game over for Apollo Crews now. Right, we get this. Promo from him, talking about the match with Apollo. This was less about him than it was about his big man. You know what I mean? It was. He talks about the match with Big E. It's like, I'm here tonight, Intercontinental Champion. Big E's not, and do you know why? This guy. And I quite liked it for building up Commander Aziz, is what his name is now, rather than Dabba-Kato. Don't know why why not just keep him called Dabba-Kato? It was fine.
Yeah, I know. Dabba-Kato sounded actually kind of badass and cool.
Yeah. I mean, he was a badass in Raw Underground. It was there. Right there. Keep it simple, for fuck's sake. Anyway, it was great because Commander Aziz, sir! He'd said it in a not African accent.
Yeah, I know.
In the bin. Yeah. Paul Crews try hard in this, and he's just like, nope. I'm just going to talk normal. Cheers, pal. Thanks for the opportunity. But he talks about how he's Intercontinental Champion, and it's because of the Nigerian nail. And I was like, what? And obviously the finish of the match was the spike to the neck of... And I was like, oh my God, this is alliteration, because Umaga did the Samoan spike.
Right.
And that was the same move. So the Nigerian nail was like, rubbish name. But then I was like, okay, I get it. I'm okay with that. I'll let you off with the Nigerian nail. Although, I think over time it's going to get a bit weird, but no, it's all right. And hey, Dabba-Kato or Commander Aziz looked quality in this. He looks like the real deal as a big man, and I like that. The big men got a good go at WrestleMania. Omos looked untouchable. Braun Strowman threw Shane McMahon off a cage. We all love to see that. And Commander Aziz killed Big E. They all came out. Vince McMahon had a wank that day. I'm telling you, he had a great day.
Pal. Yeah.
Big man. Yeah. So he'll be happy. And you know what? It was great. It was a nothing promo. It was just more to introduce Commander Aziz and talk about all things there. What's Bobo saying? Hello, Bobo. How you saying? He's holding the spear with the point down. I can't wait for the Commander to slam that spear into someone's foot. That's and they'll still kick out it too. They won't finish the match because booking and all that shit. It was, but I kind of appreciate it for that fact as well. So they done the job. They got him over. It was more for Commander Aziz than it was Apollo Crews. No idea who's going to challenge Apollo Crews next. Maybe Big E because it's Backlash. But at the same time, after Backlash, we're back into the world of the unknown unless they do a draft. It's a tricky time for that. Then we get a really nice segment. I'm not going to judge it too much because it was quite an honest segment. There was the championship celebration hosted by the Street Profits who came out and they did their usual thing. And I think you can tell they've changed writers because there were a couple of times where they just kind of bumped into each other with their promos a little bit, but it was fine. But they talked about they're going to have their match next. They're going to get the titles back. This is about Bianca Belair, who made, to be fair, she did make history. First time black women have main evented in WrestleMania. First one-on-one main event match for women at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair winning against Sasha Banks. I thought it was a really good match. Quite enjoyed it. And so it was all about her celebrating, kind of talking about growing up, her relationship with her dad, NXT. It was just kind of, I think you just let her speak because she did get a bit emotional at times. And it was like, she thanked Sasha Banks, which I thought was a bit weird, but fair enough. Sportsmanship and all that, Well,
but, she's sports Bailey, not Bailey. Belair, comes from that background of sportsmanship and things along those lines. So I didn't find it as weird. I actually kind of enjoyed this because it was a genuine moment between husband and wife with Montez Ford and Bianca Belair. And
it's like, I think it felt more like they were giving you what happened live at WrestleMania, and they're like, we'll give you a piece of that on SmackDown because you never got to see it. That's what it felt for me like doing that. It was quite nice. It was lovely. I like Bianca said something really nice. She said, like, if you told me, it was like, if you asked me last year if I was going to win the women's title at WrestleMania, I'd be like, nah. Actually, no, I said I would have done it. Yeah, I would have said, yeah. I like that little bit of banter about her. It's like, totally. I would have said I would have done it. I mean, it's not, and it was a nice little line. It's like it's not cockiness. It was just, she didn't really explain it. She said, it's just not cockiness. But I'm assuming she's supposed to say it wasn't cockiness. It was a belief that she could do it and all this sort of stuff. And she proves it. I mean, she looked really good doing it. And then they talked about, right now, it's not about me, though. It's about you guys. Because another really good line she came out with was like, we only wear gold in this house. Lovely. You're gonna go far. You can do no wrong to me. She's done no wrong since she came back. She survived Reginald. That's something she never got to address, and I wish she did. It's like, we survived fucking Reginald to main event the first night of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Now that's history making in itself. The first main event to survive a storyline as bad as that to main event of WrestleMania. I mean, boy, they had to go upstream a bit, but they pulled it off. Some people might disagree with me on that one, but when you look at how the nights panned out, I think it was the right decision to main event them. But it was, they done a good job. So it was quite a nice finishing line. We only wear gold in this house. Then we have the match, Street Profits and the Dirty Dogs, where you think this is a great time for the Street Profits to win the tag titles. No. Yeah. It would have been. Should have been. But it's not. It's absolutely not. Yeah. Apparently not. I would like to say this was a good match. Some people said, in fact, I'm getting ahead of myself. No, I'll talk about the match. I'll talk about the segment before it because it's you have the match. It was a good. People say it was a good match. I slightly disagree because it was a well done match, but it was all Street Profits for 90% of it, and the Dirty Dogs snatched the win at the end, which is what
they do. Let's be honest though, but that's what happened last week. Everybody else kind of did the work, and then which is why they're living up to their name, the Dirty Dogs. Yeah, they are opportunists, and so they will just take their chance when they can. So, it's the whole they're fighting back, but yet the Dirty Dogs just do that one little thing that may or may not be legal, but they still find a way to win, kind of thing. And by the way, Dolph Ziggler. Your hair last night was bordering very close on my boy Lance Archer, so be very careful.
I think he was trying to like mess with the Street Profits. I think that's what I was getting from that. It was just like, I'm dressed up as.
I'm just saying that looked very close to Lance Archer's hair. You know, Lance is gonna kill you. Lance is gonna kill. I mean, I'm just saying. I had to throw that in there, just to shout out to my friend Lance Archer.
He'd go nowhere near that. He'd go nowhere near that company anymore. It would muddy his good name. He does better. He deserves better than that. Stay away from there as long as you can, mate. You deserve better.
He won't go back. I don't think he will.
God, no.
If nothing else, I wanted to shout out my friend Lance, just because Lance is a good
Quite
dude.
Right.
And have some fun with that. But but yeah, at the end of the day, I kind of enjoyed the match. I kind of wish that the Street Profits would have won. It made it really. I gotta tell you this though, Rude and Ziggler do a great job of making you hate them, and just work that they put on. You know, these four guys know how to work so well. They have great chemistry together. They, you know, man, when they hit that, you know, when the Montez Ford hit that, you know, massive 10-star frog splash after the slam and everything like that, and you think, oh, they're gonna win, and the Dirty Dogs just pull it out. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of one of those things where. Totally. I liked it in that sense of it kept me on my toes, because I'm thinking, okay, surely the Street Profits are going to win here. And then I watch the match and I go, oh, wow, okay, they retained. And I wasn't mad, really, honestly. Yeah. Because that just means I get more matches together with these guys. Yeah. And because, let's be honest, Rude and Ziggler started out as a tag team kind of thrown together, but they've really formed a good tag team.
They've quietly evolved into a team as well, because like they started off as a weird pairing, and you're like, nah, that's never going to work. And then they've slowly made changes to their gear, how they act around each other. Like Bobby Roode's just totally changed. It hasn't been an overnight one. It's been like gradual, step by step. So the more you see them, the more they've become a pairing, which is, I like that. I really appreciate what they've done with that. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I just felt like it needed a feel-good moment to kind of tie up the whole thing with the Street Profits, Bianca Belair. I think it would have been great to have them all like champs, but hey, there would be a conclusion to that for sure. Like, it wouldn't be just like this for no reason. Bobo's come back in. Is Montez headed to the doghouse or getting divorced now? Because Bianca said they only wear gold in this house. Fucking right, mate. I'm assuming.
Let's be honest, the SmackDown titles aren't technically gold; they're silver.
Yeah, they are silver. But don't tell them that. They don't believe in that. They'll be like, it's white. Right. It'll be like, it's white gold.
It's white gold. Yeah.
Fuck off. Right. They're pennies. They're built big ass pennies, and that's what they are.
Or nickels, or whatever you call it.
Totally. Tell you who's a dime though. Bayley got a quick. Well, actually no. I tell you, Bayley did get a good segment, but before that, it was Kayla Braxton and Sasha Banks. It was like, Sasha, what was your reaction to losing at WrestleMania? Well, I just moped for a bit, then left. It's like, Sasha, you just got some good cred there in the ring, and you're just like, fuck off, and then just left.
Yeah.
But then Bayley came in, and I'm on the Bayley train. She's done a grand job at WrestleMania, considering she got hee-haw to do. I was a bit angry about that. That's all she got. And she was just sort of like, aye, well, the weird thing about Bayley, she kind of planted her flag and said, like, I'm going after Bianca Belair, because she says it's good, but who she beat? She beat Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, but she did beat. The thing I didn't like about it, though, is she didn't reference the fact that she's the only person to beat Bianca Belair in the main roster since Smackdown trade. I thought that was a biggie. That Bayley's got a win over the champ now, and she's got a legitimate reason to go after her. A lovely match for Backlash. Mm-hmm. If you want to tease another kind of match. Bianca sort of tease like Sasha Banks getting involved, not tease Sasha Banks getting involved, but Sasha Banks trying to get back at her. You've got Bayley, who's got a case to get back into the mix again. You know, there's no reason why you could probably bring Carmella in and maybe do like a number one contenders thing and push on from there. That I think it'd be quite fun. Classified Chappie. Glad Bobby Roode is getting his moment throughout 2020 and 2021. You know what? Fair fucks. That's true. You know, he's not really had a chance to do much. This is probably the most time he's spent.
Not since NXT. You know,
not since NXT.
I mean, since they brought him up. Yeah, since they brought him up, he really has much. So I'm kind of glad to see that. Like I said, I've really enjoyed them as a team. I'm glad to see him getting his shine here. He's deserved it. I mean, he's put in the work. You know, with all the tag teams and everything he's done, Impact and, you know, TNA and all the stuff that he's done beforehand to now. You know, he's a good hand, and I'm glad to see the shine that he's getting. for this. So
I hope we get a bit more
you know,
like the Bobby Roode of like the TNA days as well, like the late TNA, where he was like, you could do no wrong, you could do absolutely anything. Like Shades, I got a bit of Shades of Beer Money out of him because he's sort of looser. But when he did Beer Money, he loosened up a bit and had a bit more fun with his character. And we're getting a bit of those vibes with the Dirty Dogs. So he's only going to get, better. Well, I say he's only going to get better. I think there is a ceiling, unfortunately, but he's just been great for them. For the two that are not, for two guys that they probably wouldn't have much for anyway, they've done quite well to pair them up and make something out of it, which is always good fun. Where are we on the card? We near the end, aren't
Bailey.
we?
Yeah.
After Bailey, so we are at. Oh yeah, I forgot Bailey. Bailey said the Bailey was arrogant and all that stuff, and that's not a champion that anyone would want to have, but I am. And I say, she was like, I saved WrestleMania from being a disaster. I mean, she kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, someone had to get in between Titus and fucking Hogan. Right. Can we talk about this quickly, right? Hogan didn't need to be there, right? And it showed because he was wank. Titus O'Neil could have done this whole thing on his own, nae bother. Because he was like coming out and saying stuff, and the crowd going, yeah, they're up for it. And so as Hogan spoke, they booed. They booed him rotted and out the door. And it was just like, no, that's just not, this isn't happening. Please just don't do this. And in the second night, they both came out dressed as pirates, and you're like, oh no. If Titus came out on his own, he could have done the opening bit fine. He could have done the pirate thing fine. He would have been an absolute winner on his own right just by being there. But now we've got to get Hogan in there. But I wanted to throw it out there anyway. But yeah, Bailey had to jump in now and again with wee segments, just like acting as if she was going to be like, look, I'll do it for you. Like, hey, come on, you guys have got these things. I'll take care of this for you. Like, come on, get me in on this.
Yeah.
She even acted like she got her own fireworks.
Yeah.
Class my Chobby. Bailey is the best Karen we all love. Yes, we do. I fucking love Bailey. She's quality.
Yeah.
She's absolutely she's the best part. If you go from like the roster from the beginning of COVID to now, she's the best. She's done better than anyone. She's managed to keep a really good character. She had a good run as a champion. She's done some entertaining stuff. Whether you like the ding dong hello thing or not is up to opinion, but she's managed quite nicely. She's done a disservice this WrestleMania by not being on the card properly and having these segments. I did like the bit where she acted like the fireworks were hers. Like, you know how they do like the mid-show fireworks? She was like, "Get them going, woo! That's for me." Like, of course she would do that. Of course, it would take the attention for that there. But it was good. She was good for what it was. I hope she gets more now. She deserves better than what she had. But hey-ho.
Well, do you think the only reason why I could think that they wouldn't use her is because she's injured? Do you think she got hurt? And that's because she was
going through. She did break up with her fiance recently.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that had something to do with it, and maybe want to give her a break just to kind of regroup and recover.
Maybe.
I mean, and they just didn't have anything for her, you know.
Obviously, he doesn't need a break because he's
still
doing stuff on AEW. So you know he's involved with a heavy storyline there with QT Marshall's group versus Cody Rhodes' group kind of thing. So obviously he didn't need the break. You know. So I think it had to be more of an injury that she sustained. You know, because she does have a history with some shoulder issues and some things along those lines.
So do you think they just sort of kept it quiet and just
I think because I don't see the breakup thing being a something that would keep her out this long. It feels more like she probably tweaked the shoulder or something, so they're just trying to be precautionary. Because it was right before WrestleMania, she started doing the ding dong hello. She did a couple of them, especially with the one where like Sasha was coming in and Bianca and with the tag team, like, use the door, hello, you know, kind of stuff. But like that was the start of it, and they had that match. But even in that match, she wasn't dressed to wrestle. She was just more, you know, in the outfit, the Karen kind of outfit that she was wearing, and she didn't do that much. It was almost like they were protecting her. So I feel like maybe she has some kind of injury that they just haven't really said anything about and are still using her in that way to kind of proceed along. You know, they're slowly getting her back. You know, WrestleMania was, okay, I can at least take this bump down the ramp. You know, because let's be honest, you know, that wasn't necessarily the easiest bump you can take down a ramp.
Yeah.
And it's a ramp.
It was.
You know?
They did have a bit of carpet on it, though, so it wasn't as bad. But I think she must be on the way back because they are teasing her having a match with Belair, so she must be in some condition or fitness now where she's ready to go again, which I'm up for. I'm happy to see her back in the ring and do her thing again.
That's what I'm thinking.
People I'm not happy to see back in the ring, unfortunately. which is a bit of a shame considering. We had Shayna Baszler versus Natalya, the rematch from WrestleMania, the one that no one asked for. Natalya and Tamina should have won the tag titles at WrestleMania. I don't care what anyone says. They don't fucking need that. They really should have. But lo and behold, Shayna and Nia Jax are champions. We had this very quick match. This is after Cesaro doing his swing again. Ad break. Then we had this match. It was just Nia Jax just trying to be a nuisance at ringside. Tamina kicks her. This ended with Natalya getting a roll up on Shayna Baszler. She is a jiu-jitsu specialist, a black belt, I'll have you know. Can he deal with a roll up? Guys.
It's a paralyzing move, James. It's a paralyzing move.
Paralyzing move, aye. No bother. I'll just I'll need to stretch my neck out. Just it wasn't even a good roll up. It was rubbish. Like it'd be different if her whole weight was on her and just sitting on her, but nah, it was like it was not one of those side ones where it's just like putting all your weight in. It was easy. You could escape that. You could get out of that no bother within 3 seconds, but whatever. It was what it was. That was the match. Nia Jax grabs Natalya by the throat and Tamina super kicks Nia Jax. And that was it. So they're getting a rematch of Backlash then. So that's 2 rematches we're counting so far. The Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens one, and this as well. So here we go. And then we get to the main event, which was Jey Uso versus Cesaro. Good little match. Yeah. Could not go wrong with these lads. Could not go wrong whatsoever. I'm glad of it. I was kind of weirdly hoping that Jimmy Uso was coming back for this one because it was quite quiet on the returns front and surprises and things happening. I thought, this is a great time for Jimmy to come back because could you imagine like Cesaro coming to now? There's an extra step now. You've got the Usos together as a unit.
Right.
That'd be like fuck. Deal with those. But
are you putting the right one kind of thing? And
yeah, like things like that. I thought it would be a bit twin magic, but we never quite got it. Hi, Big Ray. Love you too.
Love you, Big Ray. Smooches.
But yeah, so we've got these. We had this match. It was really good back and forth. Cesaro doing the corkscrew discus thing, the corkscrew uppercut, which I love that stuff. He just. When you see it in real time, you look like he spins a million times, but then you see it in slow motion, he only does it once. It's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? Fascinating, man. But it was kind of match you would expect for that. It was just this kind of fun main event match that I just felt it was unfortunate because it was the gatekeeper again. It was like Jey Uso was being like the guy at the other end. What's this? What's Big Ray coming? I would like to state for the record that Big Ray is trying to deface my name right now on YouTube Live. It's a how dare you, sir? How dare you? John, mate. Anyway, I'm distracting myself because I'm looking at the chat. I've got both up at the same time just to make sure everything's working. Man, Big Ray, if you came at the start, you probably wouldn't be here for the end. I'm telling you now. Took us a bit of time to get here. But no, it was a fun match. I enjoyed it. Jey also had the cool thing with the statue as well. He stood and did the arms folded thing because that's your contractual obligation now to do that. Right. But they worked a strong match. The match ends with a weird DQ because Seth Rollins makes his way in, hits Cesaro in the back of the head. Cesaro sells it like he died. It didn't look like a hard shot.
No, yeah.
Did not look hard at all.
It looked like Seth was going to try to do like a neck breaker, but then like it slipped or something. So then he turned around and punched him in the head. It was very weird.
Yeah. I thought he was going to do the stomp as well, because when Cesaro was down, he thought I was going to run back and do the stomp. And he didn't do that. But we had that, and he went away. And then the best promo of the night for me was Seth Rollins not having a microphone, going ape shit at Cesaro. Going absolutely ape shit. Yeah. Just saying, like, you beat me at WrestleMania. This isn't over. He just looks crazy. He looks absolutely bananas as he's screaming without a microphone. And you're like, I like this. I like an unhinged
Reminded
Seth
me
Rollins.
Of Kenneth Copeland and, that all, televangelist preacher bullshit, which I rant and rave about all the time. So, so that I kind of enjoyed that. I felt it went a little too long.
A little bit.
It felt like the time was a little off on the end there. It was a little too long, a little too, hung on to the imaging a little bit too much. And then they had a cut back and forth for a quick second, and I just felt like it was a little off. But other than that, it was. But here's my problem though too. it was a great match, and it ends in a DQ. With
no conclusion.
I'd rather have seen Cesaro win, then Seth come in, than what happened. But I get your building, so it's that idea of Cesaro's got to work his way back through Seth Rollins before he can get through Jay, before he can get to Roman. It's almost like that. That kind of aspect of it.
So at that point, where I can maybe ask this question then is like, do you think Roman Reigns is getting the month off? Because I just can't. The way it ended, to me, it's like Cesaro's got his eye on Roman Reigns, but because of what Seth Rollins done, you can't not have them have some kind of rematch, and it would seem like something they would do at Backlash again. So would you say, who's there for Roman Reigns? They literally said it. He said it himself in his promo. You actually look at the landscape of SmackDown as it is just now. Cesaro was the only guy who was on the up that could come close to that just now.
Right.
Big E's wasn't there. So it could be the sign that there's no one there either. That could be another thing. But to me, it just felt like, okay, Roman Reigns can miss this one. I mean, you wouldn't really miss it too much because you got the Seth Rollins thing. Unless they want to do a triple threat, but I feel like that's a bit rich doing the whole, triple threat 1 month, then the next one, and it's a different triple threat. Like, are we just going to do that as a thing for Roman Reigns where he has triple threat matches all the time? I don't see it happening. I think doing it like that would probably make it more important as well. There's stakes for Seth Rollins and Cesaro, and the next pay-per-view is the one that would matter, or it's going to go drag on for as long as I want to do it. We're about to start wrapping up in the show, so if you've got any more comments or questions, get them out and we can read them before we close out the show. Big Ray's having a bit of a fun time with everyone on the chat. How are we all doing, guys?
Apparently he had a message retracted.
Ooh, those are. Okay. Did you change your mind there, Big Ray? That's a shame. But by
the way, Ray, too long is not a term that they've ever heard in bed. No, but log has been referenced for me in bed. So I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there.
It's not the time or anything. It's what you do with that time. Okay. Quality over quantity, as they say. But we'll get into the whole meat of it though. Oh Jesus, bad pun there. But we've got to the end of SmackDown. What were your sort of takeaway points for that? For me, it wasn't for a post WrestleMania SmackDown. It's a disappointment because we didn't really get any, surprises or big story things or anything like that. It was more just sort of more of the same. Or we did some developments. Cesaro got a bit more kind of push up the right way of the card.
Which he should have. Which
is rightfully so. We had a great match with Seth Rollins. And we've got some continuation from that as well. A lot of rematches, which I don't really like. As we said, Backlash tends to have that. But yeah, for SmackDown in general, if you just left it on its own, it's an alright SmackDown because it does kind of cover some nice wee bases and some nice promos here and there, some good wrestling here and there. But yeah, it was a bit of a damp squib week, but this week's not been great for WWE in general. We had the post WrestleMania Raw, it wasn't so great. NXT's moved to another day, but seems to do okay. It wasn't the most exciting NXT from what I was aware. And then the fire-ins happening on the Thursday is a big kicker. I mean, that brings down morale quite a bit and fan interest, hurts a little bit. And then you come to a SmackDown like this where maybe they just wanted to keep it simple. SmackDown's a good show at this point where you could keep it simple and get away with that, So they can spend a bit more time with their talents, although they were missing people. You could tell they were missing people. So there was skeleton crew that were doing this show. I feel like if everyone next week might be a bit better because we'll have everyone back, but this one just felt like they were getting out of the way. And Big Ray's got a good question here. Do you think Cesaro is actually going to get a world title run? If it wasn't Roman Reigns champ, if Roman Reigns wasn't champ right now, I would say yeah. But I kind of think Roman Reigns is going to make it to next WrestleMania at this stage.
You think?
I think so.
See, I could see Cesaro being someone who could take it off of him because let's be honest, we've been wanting to see Cesaro holding a big title like that for a while now. That's something that we wanted to see. And I think he could take it off Roman. Let's be honest. That would be a great match, between these two guys. Honestly, I think that would be a great match between those two. We saw what he did with Rollins at WrestleMania. I think him and Reigns. I could see that being a SummerSlam match, maybe. And boy, that would be a good deal to get, going into SummerSlam, and maybe take it off of him at SummerSlam, and then Roman has to work his way back up, and then he gets back at WrestleMania or Survivor Series, something along those lines. One of the big four where we see him work his way back. But I'd like to see him have a nice little run with it, just for a little while, to get, because I feel he is the most underrated superstar that has just put in so much great work and has not been rewarded for it. I feel he deserves it,
Yeah. I agree agreeing with you as well there.
Yeah, Ray, I agree with you. If he put it in front of a live crowd, that crowd would go nuts.
Banana.
I mean, because we would go banana. That's
because it's a fan favorite as well. It's one of ours.
Yeah,
and it's one of those. I don't know what it is about wrestling fans, but we claim a wrestler now and again. Like Daniel Bryan was one of them, and CM Punk was definitely one of them. It's like, he's one of ours. He's one of us. So you want them to do well. And Cesaro's been there long enough, and he's had great matches and stuff like that. He's just never been there. My only worry is, I totally agree with you. I think he deserves a chance to do that. My only worry is that they look at Roman Reigns and go, he is the guy, the final boss of SmackDown or WWE in general. Whereas, like, if they're gonna have someone win, they want to be the next megastar. Now, is Cesaro going to be that next megastar? I don't know. It's a tough ask maybe at this stage. Do you think he would be like the?
I think he could be, because here's the thing: he's got international appeal. He speaks 7 languages. He's European. He does incredible in the foreign market. I feel like he would be that Bret Hart level kind of guy. Bret Hart was a great technical wrestler. He would be, but he had that international appeal, but got a reaction out of the United States crowd. So I think he could be that guy. You portray him as that almost international man of mystery, like they're doing right now. He comes out with suits and and looking just real dapper and European. The dude looks good. When he walked out there, to challenge Roman, he was in that suit.
Fuck.
He looked snappy, and of course Roman is having to kind of look up to him just a little bit, and he's got a great look. He looks sharp when he's in suits and everything along those lines. He's one of the better dressed guys on that roster, and he looks like $1 million. So I don't like. That's the thing, is I don't know how he's gone this long without having the title. That's my biggest issue, and so I don't see why you couldn't do that right now. You could tell a good story with it and go with that. I think he could be that international star that you need to go about. Doing those kind of things. I see, Bubba, I disagree. I think his promo skills are good. He doesn't have to do a ton to be a good promo. He can be that, get my point across, baby face. I'm gonna come out there.
I think Cesaro, in terms of promo, is more of a technical thing as well. Like, it needs to be more it needs to be brought out of him a bit more than what it normally is. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with his up, down, down stuff, and he's in Uno and things like that. He's got a more kind of natural flow to how he talks and things like that. It's like, if we can get some of that and take that and turn it and put it into his promo skills, because I think his promo skills aren't the best, as I would say. He's not the greatest, but he does do quite well in terms of presentation and everything else. He covers all the bases. He's articulate as well, which is good. I just think sometimes you can be a bit more loose. I think if we can get that out of him a bit more, it'll be nice. He's not far away. He's not far away from the finished article whatsoever. I'm not going to say he's a bad promo or anything like that. But I think,
but he doesn't get that opportunity. I mean, think about all these years. He hasn't had a ton of opportunity to do promos. He doesn't get that practice in. He doesn't get to share, what he wants to be. He's given scripted things. Let him be that up, down, down, free, talking about what he's comfortable talking about kind of guy, and use that promo skill time. He doesn't get a ton of time to talk or share. I mean, we're seeing more now than in the last couple of months leading up to WrestleMania than we had in the last few years of him on the mic. And he's done a decent job. I just feel like he needs more time to do that kind of stuff, and he's not given the opportunity. He's starting to now, and you're starting to see the basis of something good. We just need to kind of let him, instead of scripting him, give him the talking points and let him go from there.
Yeah.
So that he can be that closer to that up, down character that's comfortable, is wanting to present and talk. And then you'll have everything you need right there. That's where they need to go with him on that. So.
Big Ray coming up with quite an interesting thing. He is suggesting that Heyman betrays Roman and joins Cesaro. Big.
Oh.
That'd be big. It would help with the promo side of things. But
it would.
Do we need... My worry is, like, for Cesaro, I think we need to see him flourish on his own. I think it'd be... It sounds bad, but for me, it would seem like we're holding his hand a little bit with Heyman there. I mean, I think we should sink or swim with him. It's like, go for it. Just go. If it's good, great. If it's not so good, we'll figure something out. You know, it's...
Right.
He deserves that. I think he deserves a little bit of a go. Classified Chappie. Hope WWE runs Cesaro's world title justice. I think she means does it justice. I think only WWE title match he has with Cena. I can't remember Cesaro actually having a title match for the world title.
Did he?
If I remember rightly.
Was it during like when Cena would do the open challenge kind of stuff?
Well, that was the US title, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't remember. I couldn't remember.
Maybe it would have been. Maybe it would have been like around about the that year that he won it from the Cena won the title from The Rock. Maybe I'm not fully sure. I'll have to double check that one. I'm not as clued up on that there, but yeah, I think he does at least have a shot, you know, just to kind of do that. And if he doesn't win it right away, I don't think it would do the worst harm. I think it'd be quite a big build. He could do it. I think you're turning me around a little bit on this here. I'm starting to see it from your point of view, where he's got a lot of good elements to him. He's the guy everyone wants to see it. I don't know a single person who doesn't want to see Cesaro win a world title, which is good. That's exactly what you want from a world championship. Because if you have someone who says, "I don't want him to win," then that'd be that. You know, it would be. Whereas, because we've had plenty of champions where it's like no one wants to see it and we get it, and you're like, well, I'm just going to reject the product. Whereas you've got Cesaro as someone you can get behind. Drew McIntyre was someone like that as well. You know, he had a great run in the Indies, and now he's coming over to he came up to WWE, and everyone got behind it because everyone knows his story and how big a name he was, and he pulled that off quite well. It's just a shame that his journey had to culminate at COVID, and he's now the other guy again. Whereas he's still up in the mic there, but it's Bobby Lashley's time, rightfully so. So Cesaro could be good. I just keep looking at Roman and go, they'll hold on this for as long as they can until they can't anymore. I mean, they must have something in the chamber. If Cesaro wins it, then brilliant, you'd absolutely love it. But if he doesn't, then you know there's got to be something down the line. There's the next big name. We're talking like their eye on who would be the next Cena, the next Rock, Austin, things like that. That to me is what this Roman Reigns title run could potentially be. I'm not saying it will be. There's a lot of work to get to that, but they're building Reigns in such a way where it would take someone like that or transform a career where it could become that if they could get the win over that. Ben Hameen just sent me a banana hammer pick. What's up with you guys, bananas? have a banana split or something like that. But yeah, they need to. This is a made man could be made out of this come WrestleMania next year if they really commit to it. It's a long way to go. It's a year. We've seen The Rock and Cena was a match that got booked for WrestleMania a year in advance. They've done it quite well, but then it take a while to get there. You know, it's a hard sell. It's hard work to get to one WrestleMania to the other. You can't really kid yourself on that one, especially the way that WWE have booked things in the past and how lazy they book things. You know, I said it earlier how they're creatively bankrupt and it's costing people jobs now because they can't think of anything unique or original or anything that's worthwhile doing. So it's going to be much challenging. There's a lot working against that to happen. And I think it's the same with Cesaro. There's a lot working against that because if he wins against Roman Reigns, who's next? And, you know, they're not always great with babyface champions. They've never been great with babyface champions. I mean, Drew McIntyre wins the title off of Brock Lesnar. First match, Dolph Ziggler. And then he dropped the title to Randy Orton, and then won it back again. And then he dropped the title to Miz, then won it back again. No, he didn't win it back. He dropped the title to Miz, who won it off Bobby Lashley, and he couldn't beat Bobby Lashley. So it's a challenge. The whole thing's an uphill struggle, whereas Roman Reigns is an easy guy to get there. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next week? You know what I mean? Like, we could come at this and Cesaro's not even near it. You could be a million miles away from the world title picture after what happened.
Or they've made a roster changes, or they've done different things. Who knows?
I mean, that's the other thing we've got to take into account as well. Draft. Like, if they decide to have a draft anytime soon, which generally around about this time, if I remember rightly, they do it. It's all up in the air again. Anyone could end up anywhere, and we could have new feuds, new people, and who knows where it's going to be. Big Ray, the way Roman Reigns is being booked, he could be a great heel champ for another year. I totally agree. That's kind of what we've been saying as well. Classified Chappie, great line here. I think online fans have to act WWE creative team online to force him to bring Cesaro as champion. Great. I think that's true. Like, we did it before.
Yeah.
Everyone's made the voice heard.
Yes, movement.
Yes, movement. Yeah, we forced them. It forced our hand, and I think everyone will do it eventually. This is a creative team that just decides to do this quite a lot. Go la 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 la. Don't listen to me. But yeah, there's a long way to go for that one. So I'm excited for Cesaro. I really hope he can pull it out the hat. He's got a lot of potential about him, and we've said that for years, I suppose. Like, Cesaro's got potential to do great things, and it's almost like now they've realised that they can do it. And I suppose that's like that's why I always like about this SmackDown just now is it kind of reckons back to the SmackDown of old, like the 2003 era, because there's people like Eddie Guerrero or Benoit, or people like that at the time where you're like, oh, they could do really well, but they're in the mid card. But then once you kind of split them up and move them up, you know, they've thrived and they built. Eddie Guerrero became a world champion. Brock Lesnar came from developmental, pretty much became a world champion. You know, people grew with that brand, and I quite like the idea of this SmackDown being the same thing, and I hope that's the mentality to drive forward. You've got someone like Paul Heyman who's in the cast of things. He's just a character, but you can still do stuff backstage where you can elevate talent and guide them a little bit more, and I hope they can make use of that a bit more. What's this Ray saying now? Samoa Joe comes in as Fiji Joseph and beats Roman in a coconut and a pole match. Come on now. Hey, that's a bad, Big Ray. Bad. Slap on the hand for you. No. Can't believe I just... No. Boo. We've already got that nonsense with Apollo Creed. Will not have it twice. I'm not amused with that. But you know what? We'll move on. We'll kind of close off now because we've had quite a lot of SmackDown. Good show so far. I quite enjoyed this live format, despite the technical difficulties at the middle. If you're watching this just now and you watched it from the very beginning where I had like poor connection shit for whatever reason and we managed to fix it, let me know what you think. I hope this went well. I hope it seems like it's been a successful outing doing it this way, doing it the hard way as I always do. But yeah, while you're here, while you're watching this, you know, we've got this thing on the screen. If you look up to above me here, we've got a thing called You Are Loved. It's run by your friend John, our friend of the podcast, Jackson Stone. It's a great campaign that he does. YouAreLovedLife.com or at YouAreLovedLife on Twitter. Some great stuff about mental health and the advice and guidance that you can get for helping your mental health or helping friends, family with them. It's a very important time now in terms of COVID and things like lockdown. It's always important to kind of keep checking yourself. We always do what we call the check-in on Smack Attack. Not done it so much now because we've had to fly through quite a lot of this year. We've got to bounce back but normally we spend that time.
Have dates tonight.
We've got things to do, ladies to see, and but then we've got to do we always like to do our check-ins just to kind of see how we're doing, how things are, and if we're keeping well. And it's important that you do too. It's important that you do your check-in and just make sure you're looking after yourself. Check out YourLovedLife.com and get more information about that. Or even follow Jackson Stone on Twitter, Jackson Stone _. Go on his Twitter. He always puts out a little thing. As I say, I said that a couple of weeks ago. I like he does this odd reminder now and again where it's like, put your phone down, just write a few things that are going on in your head that you're happy for, or things that'll keep you going, and it reminds you to stop, and that's always an important thing. So stick on that.
You can even sign up. He's got a phone messaging system where you can get daily text messages from him. You can respond to them, and he'll send voice messages to you. So that's a really neat thing he's doing for people. You know, Jackson Stone.
Everybody.
Jackson Stone is an independent wrestler here in Texas. If you got friends who live out of state or whatever, you want to book him, He's a good dude. He's a great wrestler. But yeah, you can go on his Twitter. He has different times where he'll say, sign up for to get personal messages from me. And they are, I mean, there are times where I get, hey, John, this is whatever. Even though I have his personal phone number, but, I'm not sharing that. It's funny because I have to have it separated as Jackson Stone, but then there's also Jackson Stone messages, to make sure that I'm not getting those confused. But it's good stuff. He does all kinds of things. He has merch that all the proceeds of the merch go to support things like mental health agencies or suicide prevention. The main part of him starting You Are Loved was because a couple of years ago his sister died of suicide. And so it's affected him greatly. And so he's been very intentional about doing that since then. And honoring his sister's memory. So, great dude. Really has done a lot for the wrestling community down here. We have our group of, he gets together with some fans and a couple of wrestlers, and we have our own group where we meet. But then he's also got a group for wrestlers where they meet independently. They have a group chat and they talk about the things they're dealing with in mental health. So, it's been a good experience with him, and he's just a great friend. And so, like I said, all the merch that you go to and you buy from him, it goes towards mental health advocacy and suicide prevention. So go support him. He's out there doing his thing, running a nonprofit as well as being a professional wrestler and working for a living on top of all that. So go check him out, man. And I say that because he's a friend and I love him. So, go do those kind of things, man. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. And while we're here, we've got our friends up there as well, Fighter Fans. The vertical in terms of all things combat sports, you can find them at Fighter Fans site, or you can go to the website at fighterfans.com. Go in there, they got all things of information in terms of pro wrestling, boxing, MMA. We've got some great stuff coming in. Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum fight tonight in the UFC. Jake Paul and Ben Askren box tonight. God fucking help them covering that. But there's some big fights coming on. We've got the UFC next week with Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal fighting. So check all that stuff for your latest MMA stuff. They do some really good stuff there, including us. We're heading about there somewhere as well. They like to share our shows, which is lovely of them. So quite right to them. So follow them there. If you've listened to this, if you watched this, if you've been on the chat here, or if you want to put something ahead of time, we always like to do our mail sack. We always like to open up our sack. No postman Pat today, unfortunately, but you can get in touch in many ways. You can look down below at SmackAttackHMG on Twitter, or you can email us directly, smackattackhammy@gmail.com. And if you want to go into the Hammy Media Group page on Facebook, Hammy Media Discussion Group, we've got a Facebook page there. We've also got the Discord session over there. Join us over there. It's a great community. We've got all this information. We do pick'ems. People like to put stuff out of opinion things. I like to put out some silly stuff down again. William Alicia, some of the best news content for pro wrestling around. He will get stuff months in advance before anyone else does. Get into that group just for that, because some of the stuff he does is fantastic. Even if he is a bit AEW senpai about it now and again. He needs to calm that down a wee bit. But apart from that, he's nails it on pretty much 90% of the time. There's no one out there better. Maybe he's probably up there with the likes of Sean Ross Sapp and what have you there. So get in touch with them as well.
He's better.
Ooh, big words there. But get in touch on that there. As I say, the Discord, we've got the Hammy Media trading page if you want to make yourself some money. If you want to get some trading on the go, we do a nice wee trading page there. Podbean, we don't exist, unfortunately. Apart from you, though, John. You're still on Hammy Media Group Podbean, where they do the affiliate stuff. So places like your show, The Academy, a very good Star Trek podcast, very entertaining stuff with yourself and Dimitri. Is it Dimitri? Yeah. Zourdo, yeah.
Dimitrios Zourdos, yes. Triple D.
I call him Triple D. That's why I caught myself out. I was like, when you know someone like their real name, but you actually know their nickname better, but then you start referring to the real name, like,
and you're like, wait, is this real? Did I get
it's like that? It's like the episode of The Next Generation where the guy's just shaking his head. Like,
yeah. We're actually recording tomorrow, so if you want to hit us up and put something in, tell us what you want to talk about. We did talk about last week William Shatner, your 5 favorite we talked about our 5 favorite roles that Shatner played. If you want to give us your 5 favorite Shatner roles, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook. Type in @Academy HMG.
Have you done something similar with Patrick Stewart?
No, not yet.
That'd be a challenge. That'd be a challenge for you. You'd have to go through the depths of TV and like the National Theatre and all that stuff because he's got some good shit. Like, but yeah, great podcast. I quite enjoy editing it for you as well.
Yeah.
So,
but like, if somebody wants to give that to us, as a recommendation, we'll do that kind of thing. Those are the things we'll do. Different characters and their favorite roles along those lines. So we're recording tomorrow. We have some stuff in mind, but if fans come in and throw something in, man, we'll follow that and we'll go that route. So
chase that content, chase it.
Yeah, we want it. We're a show. We're fans, and we're by the people, for the people, as they say here on Smack Attack too. But it's one of those things where, we've had guests on. We've had Lance Archer. We've had Dr. Ted the Man Beast and introduced him to Star Trek. And so, we've had different people on to talk about their love of Star Trek and why they like it and what they enjoy about it. So, and maybe one day you're interested in doing those kind of things. We'd love to hear from you and just to find out what your love of Star Trek is and why it is. So we record every other week, and tomorrow, Sunday, is our day to record. So hook us up and let us know what you're thinking, and find us online on all of our Smack Attack, Twitter, Facebook. We have a Discord discussion page there, a leaf there. You can hook us up there. Or, hit us up directly via Twitter. And ask us questions, and we'll gladly answer those for you. So, so like James, if you want to hear that, email the show or send it to us. If you want us to do Patrick Stewart's 5 favorite roles, or Scott Bakula, or whatever you want to do. We'll gladly go over those.
Can I not just tell you, like this Stevie Richards episode? I got a question on this show. I've just been like, get a Star Trek themed workout routine going on. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go the hard way. I'll go the long way. I'll send an email. Classified Chappie, hope you have a great Saturday too. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, you know what? On that note, I think that's quite a nice.
Yeah, I'm going to an indoor water park with my girlfriend and meeting her youngest son, and my son is going with me. And then you, I believe, have a date with your woman this evening. Is that correct?
We have a movie night. It's gonna be nice. Looking forward to it. We're gonna have we've got some nice food cooking up right now as I speak. So we'll get some food and watch some movies. A lovely night in. That's what we like. Can't go wrong with that there. And hope you're having a good night too. And you tell you what, on that note, I feel quite good. I don't know about you. I'm feeling quite excited. I'm gonna go and enjoy my chicken and movie. So you have a good one. You guys, thanks for being on the chat with us. It's been great. It's been great fun having you. I hope to see you again this time next week. We do another edition. And if you're on, again, get in touch with us and all that stuff, because we'll be here next week for another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheery.
Love you, Big Ray.